Welcome to today's deep dive. We're going to be exploring an interesting draft framework.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
I think so.
It's from the Utah State Board of Education, and it's all about how AI could be used in Utah schools.
Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff.
It really is. It's like a glimpse into the future of education.
Yeah.
Imagine classrooms where AI isn't this scary thing, but like a helpful tool, a partner in learning.
Right. Not robots replacing teachers or anything like that.
Exactly. And that's what I like about this document. It really focuses on how AI can actually enhance the learning experience for everyone, students and teachers.
Yeah. And even right from the start, they define what they mean by AI and generative AI.
Yeah.
So everyone's on the same page.
Right. Getting the basics out of the way,
Dude,
which is always good.
Definitely. Now, think of it this way. Imagine you're trying to teach a computer to be creative.
Okay. I'm listening.
So you show it tons and tons of pictures of, let's say, trees. The computer starts to pick up on the patterns, the trunk, the branches, the leaves, and eventually it can actually draw a new tree based on what it's learned. That's basically machine learning in a nutshell.
Wow, that's actually a really good explanation. I think anyone could understand that. So these AI tools are learning to be creative, but the document also acknowledges that AI isn't perfect, right?
Well, of course not. No technology is perfect.
Right.
Those AI tools, they can make mistakes. So we still need to teach kids how to think critically, how to analyze information, and not just blindly accept whatever an AI spits out.
I mean, that's a crucial skill for everyone these days, not just students.
Absolutely. You got it.
Now, in terms of who this framework applies to, it's everyone in the Utah education system.
Teachers, students, administrators, the whole 9 yards.
Yep. And it builds on existing policies, too. Like, there are all these federal laws that protect student privacy, right?
Oh, absolutely. They've really done their homework. They mentioned COPO, which is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. That's a big one. And then there's FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and even specific sections of the Utah State Code that relate to, internet safety and sensitive materials.
Wow, they really covered all their bases.
They really did. It's impressive.
Now, they outline 7 guiding principles for using AI in schools, and I have to say, a couple of them really jumped out at me.
Oh, yeah. Which ones?
Well, equity and AI literacy?
Those are crucial.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Equity means making sure that every student has access to these AI resources, right? We don't want to widen the digital divide or anything.
No, exactly. And AI literacy is so important, too.
Mm-hmm.
Students and teachers, everyone needs to understand how AI works, what it's good at, where it can go wrong.
Yeah, it's kind of like giving someone the keys to a car, but you also have to teach them how to drive it safely and responsibly. You wouldn't just hand over the keys and say, good luck.
Right. That's a great analogy. I like that. And it highlights the fact that we all need to keep learning, even teachers. This AI technology is changing so rapidly, we all have to keep up,
I agree. Now, they also talk about using AI responsibly in the classroom, and some of the examples are really cool, like AI tutoring systems that provide personalized support to each student, or tools that help teachers tailor lessons to how each student learns best.
Oh, yeah. Those are really exciting possibilities.
Yeah, I think so.
But
it's not about replacing teachers with robots, right?
No, not at all.
It's about giving teachers these super-powered tools that help them do their jobs even better.
And it can free up their time so they can focus on the things AI can't do, like mentoring students, inspiring them, building those relationships.
Right. Those are uniquely human things.
Exactly.
But of course, there are also risks, right? And the document doesn't shy away from those.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It actually specifically prohibits certain uses of AI tools, like for bullying or harassment.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to see AI being used for that kind of thing.
No, absolutely not. It's about making sure AI is being used ethically and responsibly. And there are 2 major concerns they highlight that I think are worth diving into.
Which are?
Data bias and privacy. And those are big topics that I'm really curious to get your take on. So let's maybe unpack those a little more after a quick break. We were talking about data bias and privacy, right? 2 pretty big concerns when it comes to AI in schools.
Yeah, they're definitely important to think about.
So let's break them down. Starting with data bias, what does that even mean in this context?
Well, imagine you've got an AI system, and it's been trained on a data set that's mostly pictures of, say, doctors who are men.
Okay, I'm following.
Now, you ask that AI to suggest career paths for students. It might end up recommending mostly doctor-type jobs, even for students who might be better suited for other things.
Because it's mostly seen male doctors in its training data.
Exactly. It might overlook, nursing or other healthcare jobs that are often associated with women, even if the student is really interested in those fields.
So even though we think of AI as being objective, it can actually reflect the biases that exist in the data it's trained on.
That's the thing. AI is only as good as the data it learns from. So we have to
Mhm.
be really careful about making sure that data is diverse and representative.
Otherwise, it's like we're baking those biases into the system.
Right, exactly. And we definitely don't want AI limiting anyone's opportunities because of some outdated stereotype.
No, not at all. Okay, so that's data bias. What about privacy? Especially when we're talking about kids' data, that seems super important.
Yeah, absolutely. And the document is very clear about that. Any use of AI in schools has to comply with all those privacy laws, like COPA and FERPA.
Those were the ones about protecting children's online data and student records, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But it goes beyond just following the letter of the law. We need to be thoughtful and ethical about how we're handling student data.
Not just collecting it for the sake of collecting it.
Exactly. We should only be collecting data that's truly necessary, and we need to make sure it's protected from unauthorized access.
So building trust with parents and students.
Definitely, transparency is key. They need to know how their data is being used, and they should have control over it too.
That makes sense. Okay, let's go back to those prohibited uses of AI for a second. You know, things like using AI to bully or harass someone.
Right, that's a big no-no.
It's not hard to imagine how that could happen, though.
Right.
Like someone could use an AI tool to create a deep fake video that makes it look like another student is doing something they didn't do.
Yeah, or imagine using AI to create fake social media posts to spread rumors about someone.
Oh, wow.
That could really damage someone's reputation.
Especially since these AI tools are getting so good, it's hard to tell what's real and what's fake sometimes.
Exactly. And those kinds of things can have real consequences.
Wow.
It's like cyberbullying on steroids, basically.
Yeah, that's a scary thought. And then there's the whole issue of cheating, right?
Right, because now you have AI tools that can write essays or generate code, even compose music.
It's tempting to just let the AI do the work for you.
I get it. But the document talks about teaching students about academic integrity in this new age of AI. Even if they're not directly copying and pasting, they need to understand that using AI to complete assignments without attribution, that's still plagiarism.
So even with AI, you still have to give credit where credit is due.
Exactly. And they need to learn how to use AI as a tool to improve their work, not just replace it completely.
But how can teachers even keep up with all this? How can they tell if something a student turned in was actually their work or if it was AI generated?
Yeah, that's a tough one. The old plagiarism detection methods might not be enough anymore. We might need to rethink how we teach and assess learning.
So is the answer to just ban all these AI tools?
I don't think so. It's more about finding the right balance. The document emphasizes teaching students how to use AI responsibly and ethically.
Right, and for teachers, it might mean designing assignments that require more critical thinking, problem solving, those kinds of things that AI can't easily replicate.
Exactly. Focus on those uniquely human skills.
Okay, there's another potential issue the document brings up, over-reliance on AI.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to become so dependent on these tools that you forget how to think for yourself.
Right, it's like anything else. Moderation is key. A calculator is a great tool, but if you can't do basic math in your head, you're going to have problems.
I like that analogy. It's about maintaining our own agency. We have to make sure we're still in the driver's seat. We need to teach students to question the output they're getting from AI, to evaluate it, and make their own judgments.
So AI should be a tool that empowers us, not something we become completely dependent on.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the benefits of AI in education, the risks, the ethical considerations. It seems like there's a lot to think about here.
There is. It's a complex landscape.
So how do you see all these pieces fitting together?
Well, it's clear that Utah is really trying to figure out how to use AI responsibly in education.
This framework seems like a pretty good first step.
I think so, too. It lays a solid foundation.
And it's not set in stone, right? It's still a draft, and they're asking for feedback from the community. So this conversation is just getting started.
That's right.
But now I'm curious to see how all this is playing out in real classrooms. Are there any examples of schools that are using AI effectively?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
There are some really interesting things happening out there. And I think it's time we took a look at some of those real-world examples. So let's do that.
We've been talking a lot about the potential of AI, but how is this actually being used in classrooms, like real-world examples?
Oh, there are tons. One that's really interesting is AI-powered tutoring systems. They can provide personalized instruction and feedback to students.
So kind of like having a personal tutor available 24/7.
Yeah, Exactly. It can be really helpful for students who need that extra support, or for students who are maybe ahead of the curve and need more challenging material. It's all about customizing the learning experience to each student.
I like that. The document also mentions using AI to create those personalized assessments. So instead of those standardized tests that everyone takes,
Right, exactly. Imagine a test that changes the difficulty level based on how the student is answering the questions. So it really gives teachers a much more accurate idea of what each student knows and understands.
that makes a lot of sense. Plus, AI can grade those tests automatically, which frees up a lot of time for teachers.
Right. And then they can use that extra time to focus on other things like planning lessons or working with students individually.
So more time for the human element of teaching.
Exactly. What about those broader applications of AI, though? Like using AI for things like content creation or even administrative tasks?
Yeah, is that happening too?
Oh, definitely. Imagine a teacher who can use AI to quickly find research articles on a specific topic or generate lesson plans tailored to their students' needs. AI can be like a super efficient assistant for teachers.
That would be amazing, especially if it frees up more time for teachers to actually teach and mentor students.
Right. It's not about AI replacing teachers. It's about AI supporting them.
Exactly. But as we're bringing AI into education, we can't forget about those guiding principles we discussed earlier.
Absolutely. Things like equity, transparency, human oversight.
Those are key.
We have to make sure AI is being used responsibly and ethically for the benefit of all students.
It's not just about throwing technology at a problem and hoping for the best.
Right. We need to be thoughtful and intentional.
So, any final thoughts as we wrap up this deep dive?
I think it's clear that AI is already changing education in some really interesting ways.
And it's only going to continue, right?
Definitely.
hmm
And we need to approach it with a good balance of optimism and caution, being excited about the possibilities, but also aware of the potential risks.
I agree. This is a conversation that needs to involve everyone, educators, parents, students, policymakers.
This is a journey we're all on together,
Hmm.
and the decisions we make now are going to have a big impact on what education looks like in the future.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're listening, we encourage you to check out that full document from the Utah State Board of Education. And let's keep this conversation going. What excites you about AI in education? What concerns do you have? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the future of learning.